In the know, nonstop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
You know, that's up to Coach Zimmer. We're just trying to make Jake and make all the guys that are playing behind Kirk better, including Nate Stanley. So there's a lot of competition. I know Nate hasn't been getting to practice as much, but we have to have every one of those guys ready to play the number 2 spot at any time.
I love football coaches, man. Football coaches are the best. They always have to mention everybody across the board, right? Nate Stanley. I'm assuming that was a question about the status of like the backup quarterback competition,
correct.
right? And he mentions
Correct.
Nate Stanley like 3 times. He's like, I know Nate Stanley. He goes, I know Nate Stanley doesn't play ever, and
no mention of Kellen Mond. Not even a name drop.
Well, it's because he's trying to say it's all even and we don't know, and Coach Zim's gonna decide.
Oh
man,
my
Clint
God.
Kubiak. Clint Kubiak has a PhD in how to coach speak to the media, though. That's what we found out.
And how to keep Mike happy.
All right, this is Purple Daily. Daily Vikings entertainment with one mission. We want the Vikings to win the Super Bowl before we all die. It's presented by Surly Brewing Company. Also a shout out to our friends at TCL. Enjoy more of what you love with TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. A new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution at an affordable cost. Check out those TCL TVs. We're going to get to guest listener predictor Josh here in a second, but let's fire this up, Dex. Write that down on a Wednesday.
Most make predictions and then never admit they're wrong. Yeah, that's not Mackie and Judd. This is the place where we just totally own our horrible predictions.
Write this down.
And eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Write that down.
It's Write That Down.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
With Mackie and Judd.
When are you guys going to admit that you were wrong, Zolgad? What kind of a name is that, Zolgad?
No, it's Judd.
Is it Judd or is it Dud?
What type of... The guy said, what type of parents name their child Judd? And I said, you could ask my parents, but they're both deceased, so it's going to be tough.
My parents are dead. Stop making fun of me.
Someone when I was on the Back Pocket podcast, a couple of cool dudes, also another Declan and Andrew, and they asked me the same question. What's it like working with someone named Judd? I was like, I don't know. And by the way,
it's not that rare of a name.
My name is Declan. And everyone's like, what's it like working with a Judd? Like, I don't know. Judd's like it's not an Adam. It's not like the most common name, but I would even say it's more popular than
But
Declan.
I've always liked when people, when you're an adult and you make fun of my name, okay. Do you really think I'm going to think about it? Like in first grade,
Zolgad.
It probably would have bothered me. Yeah, I mean, my name is Judd Zolgad. First of all, you could pick either of them. Second of all, I'm 51. So, if you're like, what type of name do you have? It's like, okay, so, yeah, let's not talk about that because it bores me if nothing,
So this is Write That Down. Every Wednesday, we make predictions. We hold each other accountable. We're the only show in America, and we also do this on Mackie and Judd, the expanded version that goes beyond football. We're the only show in America that actually circles back to our predictions with statistics. All right? We're the only ones that have the guts enough to put our reputations on the line. 3 Vikings or football-related predictions, however loosely related they are. That's fine. Each week, we keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns. And listeners, if you guys want to participate, hit us up. Send Declan a message through the Score North app. There's a feedback link at the bottom of it. By the way, you can also, on the Score North app, you can register to hang out with Judd and Declan in a Gopher football suite on September 11th and get a pair of Chill Boys. Chill Boys, making all of us feel very comfortable at chillboys.com, the best underwear all 3 of us have ever worn. I think you're going to find it's pretty obvious how chilled and laid back we are today, all right? It's because we all got a pair of Chill Boys on. We're rocking them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find out for yourself at chillboys.com.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the accountability session here, boys. We'll start with Judd. You said Wyatt Davis will be second on the Vikings depth chart by the start of the regular season. And the day after the second preseason game, according to you, we're trusting you on this, all right? We're trusting your Wyatt Davis reporting, but not only was he working the day after with the second team, he was working with the first team yesterday.
I don't know if this can come. I don't know if this can come off yet.
Phil, I'm going to side with Dex here. I think we need to see with the actual issued depth chart say it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like yes, he did get reps with the first team on what would that have been Monday?
Right.
But on Tuesday he was back with like the second and third teamers. So I think in fairness, we need to wait until we see an actual issued Viking depth chart.
This is very noble of you. I was ready to just give this to you, but
I don't think my report, but I
take it
don't think
off.
reporting qualifies as a depth chart, because the team's doing them now. Now, if the team wasn't doing them, I think you're on the right path.
When does the team release? They don't have depth charts.
There's one out right now. Yes,
is there? Okay.
Because there's a game book for the Chiefs game on Friday out right now. But I'm just saying, I think he moves up to 2 like after last cuts, but before the season starts. So I've got time here. It's not wrong. I just don't think that we can give me the point yet.
So on the most recent depth chart, he's still third.
I would have to look at that. I didn't even look yet because I'm counting on my guy Dakota Dozier being cut. So,
okay, well, there might be a prediction or two about that this week too. All right, so we'll take that off the board for you. I said Jake Browning and Kellen Mond will combine for over 200 yards passing and at least 2 touchdowns in that second preseason game. Woof. No touchdowns.
That's a big old wolf.
Jake Browning was awful. I said, however, the Vikings will sign Everson Griffin before the start of the regular season, and he'll apologize again for his comments about Kirk being ass. And he said he apologized again to the front office. He's going to approach Kirk himself sometime this week and apologize. He's very apologetic about calling Kirk ass on Twitter. So there you go. Listeners, Kyle said Tim Tebow will not be on the Jaguars roster in week 1. Tebow was one of the first players in the NFL to be cut from a preseason roster. Ooh. And Declan, you had 2 things come off the board. You said the Vikings will bring Josh Rosen in for a workout.
Can't that still be on the board?
No, he signed with the Falcons.
Oh, did he? All right, well, that's what I know. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just take that off there. I think they should have.
You double buzzed him. You gave him a double buzz.
That's fine. I own that.
He tried to fight.
Yeah, I threw an incomplete pass, and then I took the ball again, and I threw another incomplete pass.
He tried to buzz him again. Buzz him again. He's still talking.
I threw in the double coverage, and then I threw a feed again. Yeah. Oh,
can't that still be on the board? No,
actually cannot.
It can't be. And then you said. And then you said Kellen Mond will throw the first touchdown pass in the Vikings-Colts game. We're still waiting for that.
Any touchdown pass.
So these aren't entirely accurate because Judd is actually at 34% when we take that one off the board. So Declan leading the way with a 41% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns. Judd, listeners are at 36%, 2 touchdowns. Judd at 34%, no touchdowns. I'm at 33% and 5 touchdowns on the season. So, all right, let's get Josh in here, our guest listener predictor.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
On Write That Down. Josh, what's going on, man? You are a veteran. You've been on Write That Down a couple times before. What is your strategy today, sir?
Well, I got a couple of checkdowns probably, and then I got one massive touchdown I want to throw at the end. I've actually never been on the Purple Daily version, and I'm also here to correct a rookie mistake.
Love it. Love it. So we're going to start with Josh. We're going to go Judd, over to Declan, then back to me. 3 trips around the room. Let's fire this up here, Josh. You're under center first.
Write this down.
All right, so like I said, I'm here to correct a rookie mistake. I was on the old Mackie and Judd Write That Down back in January, and I was drinking the purple Kool-Aid and the bounce back that Zimmer tends to have after a bad season. So I had made the dumb prediction of an exact record of 12-4 before the 17-game schedule came out. So rather than saying an exact schedule, I'm here to write that down and simply just say, because I'm no longer drinking the Kool-Aid, the Vikings will not win more than 10 games. So I'm going to give myself up to 10 games. And just leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah, you had, I'm just going through your old predictions from January. So you had the Wild winning a first-round series. You had the Twins finally trading a top 5 prospect at the deadline, which that kind of fell flat. So this is a chance for some redemption here for Josh.
Write this down.
I was trying to hit home runs and throw touchdowns in that session there.
Hey,
love it. You can't be afraid,
it
man.
was January, man. Things were different back then.
Shooters got to shoot. All right, Judd, your first prediction.
Anthony Barr will not play in the Vikings' at least the Vikings' first two regular season games.
Okay.
So the earliest
Okay.
he would return is week 3. Something's up here. So something's up.
So you have a prediction from like months ago that Anthony Barr will never play again for the Vikings before they decided not to trade him.
Yeah.
That's still alive. Like
Yeah.
if this turns into a Danielle Hunter situation where he needs like season-ending surgery, then you will have cashed.
I thought that came off the board. Interesting. Yeah.
No, it's worse. I mean, he has to play in a game. He has to play.
But I'm
going to
go with at least the first 2 games.
Okay.
Write that down.
All right, Declan.
My first prediction, I will say Jake Browning will be cut when rosters are trimmed to 53. I don't think Jake Browning's going to make this team. He was admirable, and I think I even have another Jake Browning could start week 1 prediction or something.
Yeah.
I got one.
But I'm just going to say Jake Browning's going to get cut when rosters are trimmed to 53.
Zimmer loves his leadership, but can he be on the practice squad? And what are the current practice squad rules?
I think he can be. Yeah. I think you can be at least 3 years now.
Oh, wow.
On a practice squad. So
they could bring. I don't know if he's going to get claimed on a 53. So he'll
I
probably
think Zimmer-
pass through waivers and they sneak him back on the squad.
I think Mikey loved the fact that he could use Jake Browning as a sword against Kirk more than he really appreciated what Jake Browning did.
Which is fine for the second week in training camp if you're trying to prove a point. But when it comes down to who's coming in the actual game, if your quarterback gets hurt, you got to get someone else. Not that there's a bunch of options. Okay, write this down.
Write that down.
So for people panicking about the Vikings offense, write this down. The Vikings will score at least a touchdown. Well, I'll just phrase it this way. The Vikings will score a touchdown on a 30-yard pass or longer in the final preseason game.
Look at you going back to the preseason well, man.
Yep. I'm not, dude, there's plenty of meat on that bone still.
Oh, yeah.
All right. There's plenty of regular season predictions that we've already made.
You want to tell us off the record who's going to catch it?
KJ Osborne.
Okay.
I think KJ Osborne. I almost said Zylstra because I still feel like there's
That's still
hope
going
for a
on?
3-touchdown Zylstra game to vault
made a
himself into the
great-
Mr. Mankato.
He actually caught a
that's right.
51-yard touchdown pass on the scrimmage from Browning yesterday, and it was not a well-thrown ball, but it was a hell of a catch.
When do we officially crown Mr. Mankato, by the way, again?
Essentially after the third preseason game, we'll
Okay.
have all the information and then we
Nice.
can kind of sift through. We'll need Judd. I don't know if there's anyone else you can collaborate with out there that doesn't hate Score North.
That's
Judd.
Write this
I'll just
down.
collaborate with myself. It's good enough for me these days. Me and my can of Surly will sit down one night.
All right, we're back to Josh here. Your second prediction.
All right, so I'm going to stick with the Vikings, but skipping the preseason and going off of just the same kind of strange vibe that this whole preseason and training camp has brought. I'm going to say through the first 4 games of the Viking season, they are going to start 1-3.
Woo!
Yeah,
You got off that bandwagon at the
Yeah, you
last
did, man.
exit, didn't you? Woo!
there's
Yes, I
definitely
did.
some weird.
I mean,
there's some
I've nev-
weird juju.
I've never been a Kirk Cousins supporter, but he's going to have that stretch, But just with the way the O-line is shaping up right now, it just kind of seems like they're going to have that same struggle early on, and then maybe they'll turn it on and rattle off some wins. So we're going to struggle out the gate.
It's a longer season than it was before. They ran out of time last year, but now there's an extra game.
Write
So,
it down. You like writing things down.
Let's see.
That's right.
All right, back to Judd. Your second prediction.
All right, sort of playing off what Declan said, but in a different way. The Vikings will enter the regular season, with a backup quarterback not named Jake Browning or Kellen Mond. Now, Kellen Mond, just to be clear, is, in my opinion, going to make the roster as the third quarterback, but he's not going to be the backup.
That's off the record, I'm assuming.
No, just don't use it against me that I'm saying backup quarterback. I'm not saying the third guy. So what I'm saying they're going to do is they're going to get a veteran guy that can back up Kirk Cousins, and it's not going to be Browning, and then Mond will be the third guy. So the backup, the number 2 quarterback will not be Jake Browning or Kellen Mond.
So if you do get your wish that you've been for the last 2 weeks, you've been on this, right? If you do get your wish, how are you going to celebrate the Vikings bringing in a backup quarterback with veteran experience, Judd?
Boy, what would I do? Hold on a second. I got to think about this. You caught me off guard. Oh, you know what? I got it. I'm going to go to Minnesota's favorite IPA. In fact, I'm going to go to my fridge and pull out Minnesota's favorite IPA, Surly. Now, I'm going to pull out a Furious. But, folks, I've got, if you can see this here, I bought this last weekend. That's right. These are just 4 of the choices. Now,
What's the Sonic one?
there's the Furious. But let's just say I've sampled all of these, and they are all fantastic because when you're talking Surly, you're talking happiness. You know what? For the first time, Surly means happy.
Just like for the first time in my life, I'm happy.
As Declan said on Twitter last weekend, I've never seen Judd this happy, and he's exactly right. Because last night I'm watching the Twins game, and I'm like, this game sucks, but you know what? I'm happy because I got Surly Furious right in front of me. And that's all because, as they say, it's early. You do enough settling in life. So crack open a Surly Furious. Enjoy the IPA that revolutionized Minnesota craft beer. Don't settle. Get Surly. And come on, get happy.
And also, before Declan chimes in with his
You like writing things down.
second prediction, so the Minnesota Lottery wants you guys to know about these Vikings scratch games. There's a $5 game that can win you up to $100,000, and there's a $2 game that can win you up to $15,000. Even if you don't win, there's great second chance prizes like Vikings tickets and merchandise. So be sure to check out and play the Vikings scratch games from Minnesota Lottery. Say, I'm in to Vikings scratch games. Must be 18 or older to play. Dex, what's your second prediction?
Write it down. You like writing things down.
A offensive line prediction from me. Rashad Hill will start week 1 at left tackle, but not week 2.
Okay.
So Rashad Hill will start week 1 at left tackle, but he will not start week 2.
Okay.
It's going to be a one and done scenario, or possibly an injury. But yeah, most likely the first part.
And that could either be like Darrisaw's ready for week 2, or Hill was so bad in week 1 that they just need another emergency option, I guess.
Correct.
As we're clean.
Write this down.
I can't believe nobody has pulled the trigger on this one yet, so I guess I will. Write this down. Dakota Dozier will not make the Vikings 53-man roster for week 1. Dakota Dozier will not make the Vikings 53-man roster for week 1.
Surprised, when they re-signed him, none of us made that prediction. Like, he got re-signed like in early summer, late spring or something.
Yeah.
I'm surprised maybe one of us didn't make that either.
Well, I think we all assumed, they must really love him more than we thought. And they did. They literally had him as a starting guard for the first chunk of preseason. And now it looks like he's fallen to like the 3rd spot, which makes sense. And honestly, that's sort of the evolution of how training camp was probably supposed to play out. You know, Oli Udoh, inexperienced, Wyatt Davis, rookie coming into the league for the first time, and like let those guys climb their way up the ladder. And
Wyatt Davis scoring very well. PFF loves him.
They do. All right, Josh, your third and final prediction.
All right, so I got to give credit for this one because it's my buddy Alex that wants me to put this out there. He's got a big bet in Vegas for this one. So just, trying to will it to happen. And this goes completely against my first 2 predictions. So write this down. The Vikings will win the Super Bowl, and Justin Jefferson will be named MVP.
Wait, of the league or of the Super Bowl?
Of the Super Bowl.
Okay. Wow, dude. So we just went from a couple Vikings train wreck predictions. I love the hedge here. I love the hedge.
So what's his bet?
That's exactly what his bet is. The Justin Jefferson
and
MVP
how much
of
did
the
he
Super
put
Bowl.
down? What financial?
I think it's
figure?
$100 bet, and I think it pays out like somewhere in 5 figures.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I feel like with Josh here, and then with it was Craig on Mackie and Judd. Write that down today. Like the first part of the parlay is enough for a touchdown pass on its own, and then you guys keep adding things that make it even harder. So, like if the Vikings win the Super Bowl and Kirk Cousins wins the MVP, we literally have to buzz you on the next show because it's incorrect. But
that's right.
I love it.
That's your 99-yard touchdown right there.
Thanks, Bernard Berrien.
So, Josh, great work. Since you've got this platform again now for the 3rd time, is there anyone else in your life you'd like to thank that brought you to write that down?
Absolutely. This time I would just like to thank my wife for putting me on Sundays because she has to deal with football all day long. And then not only that, she also has to deal with me listening to Vikings Vent Line as I'm wandering around the house after the game. So thank you for letting me do that. And then I'll just apologize in advance to my son. He's only 2 years old, but unfortunately he probably is going to be a Vikings fan. So just sorry ahead of time, buddy. We'll go down to misery together.
How do the doctors determine that? Like you go to a checkup, like the 1-year checkup, and the doctor's got the stethoscope and he's checking like for the vitals, and he takes the stethoscope off and he turns to the parents, Josh, and his lovely family and says, "I've got some bad news. Your kid's a Vikings fan.
Yeah.
It's a Vikings
Oh,
fan.
God. Oh, the horror. Oh, the horror. Oh, Blair Walsh. Oh,
I feel bad for
God.
mom.
It's true.
I feel bad for mom then, though, because now
Yeah.
now there's going to be two of you that she has to listen to roam around the
I
house
know.
trying to figure out how the hell the Vikings just lost.
Yeah, maybe he'll
Amazing.
get smart in a few years and pick a new team or something.
Amazing.
Yeah, the
All right.
Packers, you'll throw them out.
That's Josh and his masochistic
Absolutely,
family.
absolutely.
We'll get you on again, man, and we're looking forward to tracking your predictions. We'll see you, Josh.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Write this down.
Listener predictor. Judd, back to you. Your third prediction.
Zach Wilson will be named the NFL AP Offensive Rookie of the Year. Zach Wilson.
With that train wreck of a
the
teammate collection.
Yeah, I know, but I think this kid's got it.
Yeah, man.
And Trevor Lawrence, I still think he's going to be absolutely fine, but I actually think Jacksonville's going to be a bigger mess.
Jacksonville feels very messy.
I'm not
very
the Urban
messy.
Meyer thing. I'm not a huge fan there. Like I'm not
No.
a big Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. I'll just go from being a controlling college coach, and I'm really good at that, to the National Football League. I think that's got a lot of peril to it.
The Tebow thing was weird, right?
Yes,
It's just like what are you guys doing?
But Urban Meyer, it's weird too. I mean, this guy claims, I think, to have left both of his past two jobs because of like health concerns and stuff. And now you're going to take over a bad NFL team?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Write this down.
it's a train wreck franchise. All right, Declan, your final prediction.
All right, this one's very strange, and I meant to make it a couple weeks ago, but then got jam-packed with other predictions. So there was a note in Falcons training camp that Laquan Treadwell was having a hell of a camp. Like his coaches were praising him. Sounds like he's turning some heads.
Best shape of his life.
Best shape of his life, running up and down those stairs, right? So I'm going to say this. Laquan Treadwell will set career highs in yards, receptions,
Whoa.
and touchdowns this
Oh,
year.
careful.
with
Don't
the
bang your
Atlanta
head on that
Falcons.
low bar you're setting there.
No, not at all. But he will set career highs, which would be 36 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and 303 yards for him to have all that come true.
Wow,
for
so
me.
he caught 35 passes for 300 yards in 2018. I'm actually sort of surprised. I didn't think he had that much production.
And a touchdown that year, right?
Yep, one.
Yes, he
Against
did
the
have
Packers,
a
I
touchdown.
think, in Green Bay. Careful, Dex, because the last time I looked at a Falcons depth chart, Willie Beavers was a starting offensive tackle.
Oh, yeah, no, they're Diet Falcons there. Or Diet Vikings, excuse me, there. I'm well
yeah.
aware of that.
Diet Vikings. That's.
But Matty Ice.
Fine.
Matty Ice is going to make
I
Laquan
feel
Treadwell.
Matty Ice is old.
know?
I feel like that Super Bowl opportunity was probably a last golden chance where he was with a damn good quarterback. I don't know that Matty Ice.
Dude,
is
how
that.
terrible would that feel? Like, it wasn't even really his fault. Like, they took a lead and then the Patriots just marched in the second half.
Yeah.
God, you would probably think about that all the time.
Write this down.
All the
Especially
time.
now when you look around and, like, Julio Jones is gone and
What's worse, the decision by the Seahawks to try and have Russ throw the pass that got picked at the end against the Patriots when they were on the goal line, or the Falcons meltdown? Which would make you feel worse?
The
I
Falcons
think
meltdown.
the Falcons meltdown.
Okay.
Yeah, the Seahawks thing was a bang game. It was back and forth. You know, it just, yeah, obviously you'd feel terrible about that too because you were 1 yard away.
Right.
But like the Falcons literally had like a 3.5 touchdown lead
Yes, they did.
in the second
Also,
half of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. The Seahawks also won the Super Bowl the year before, too, so like you kind of
Yeah.
feel a little bit better about that, where the Falcons are the Falcons.
Would you guys rather blow a 3.5 touchdown lead? Like if you're following the Vikings here, have them blow, like they make it to the Super Bowl, but they blow a 3.5 touchdown lead,
Yep.
or just not make it to the Super Bowl at all? I'd rather not go and have
Okay.
it happen in the NFC title game than have that happen in the second half of a Super Bowl.
I'd rather go because
I'd rather go.
One, I want to see them where I am actually able to process it, which at the tender age of 7, I couldn't. I want to see them in that game. I want to see the 2-week period in this town. And plus, if the Vikings blew that type of lead, it would be just another in the glorious chapters of things that they have completely melted down.
It is kind of the identity. It's like 60 years
Correct.
of Vikings fandom. I don't know what we would all do if all of a sudden they went on like a Patriots. Well, that's aggressive. Let's say they went on even like a like a Cowboys run in the 90s where they win like 3 championships in 4 or 5 years and it's kind of a mini dynasty, which literally sounds laughable to say about the Vikings because we mentally can't compute what that would feel like.
Correct.
But I think it would change the personality of the Twin Cities. I legit do. Like there's 30 years of fans and a generation and a half or more of people that like our sports identity is woe is me, sort of insecure.
If that happened, if the Vikings went on a run of great success, you'd have a lot less people being upset about people like us who want to set expectations. Like the expectations then would naturally shoot up because people would say, oh, we've done it now. We should be able to do it. I feel like there is a group of fans who are very defensive of, hey, we always lose. We know it. We just love our team. I think if you win a Super Bowl, or let's say you win 2, that completely changes where it's okay then to set the bar and the expectations high, where now there are at least some trying to dumb that down. Not our listeners or viewers, but some.
Yeah. Is it on me to make one more? Dex, did you? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Write this down. The Vikings' Week 1 53-man roster will include at least 2 players who aren't currently on the roster.
Like what you're doing.
And I don't know if it's I think it's off the record. I think it's probably an offensive lineman. I think it's a quarterback and maybe an offensive lineman. I think they're set defensive line, cornerback. I guess I could see linebackers.
It could be a linebacker, and it could be also a backup safety.
Could be a kicker. Colts just cut a kicker.
Yeah, Greg Joseph.
Yesterday.
We could talk about that in a second.
Actually, let's get into that. Let's write that down.
Write this down.
Your weekly predictions here. I'll take this off the screen for you. And we do it every Wednesday. We hold each other accountable. We're the only show in America that puts our reputations on the line.
Mackie.
That's right. When are you going to admit that you were wrong?
When's that guy on the left gonna?
What does he even do
wrong?
here?
What's he doing?
What does he even do? What does he
He's always
contribute?
looking at his computer.
Is he a prop or a real human?
Yeah. What
You'll
does
never
he
know.
have to say on Twitter?
He's a mannequin with
Yeah.
At least his name's definitely not
1950s
Judd.
hair.
If my name was Judd, I wouldn't leave the house. I'd just stay home and drink Surly all the time. Well, you found out.
All right, boys, let's get to Judd's camp notes here. You have been observing, you've been taking in Vikings training camp for the last several weeks, and you were out there again yesterday. So let's just go through the list of things that stand out to you from the last day or two.
Well, since we brought his name up, let's first talk about Greg Joseph and what made. And yes, this is going to be incredibly football geeky. I fully admit. In fact, play the sounder, the football sounder, please, Phil.
You got it.
Football.
So the Vikings scrimmaged yesterday. This was what Zimmer had threatened to do this after the first preseason game, and they didn't, but they did yesterday. So 1s against the 1s, 2s against the 2s, and then a combination of sort of 2s and 3s going against each other. It was purple jersey against the whites. It was actually intriguing to watch at times. But let's start with Greg Joseph. So Greg Joseph in games so far, field goal wise, in the 2 preseason games, in what he's gotten an opportunity for field goals and extra points, has been fine. He's been good. But yesterday he was on a wet field, but I mean, at times you could have a wet field. He was 7 of 11 on field goal attempts. Now he did miss 1 from 55 and he missed 1 from 59. So those are big asks.
Yeah.
But 7 of 11 at least has to make you think, because it's not like the field conditions when you go on the road are going to be perfect. I mean, the Bears, they got a bad field.
Yeah, Packers. Yeah,
The
you're gonna play.
Packers-
That game's in December.
And it can be a wet or snowy field. So I'm not saying to sound the proverbial alarm right to your right, Phil Mackey, but I am saying 7 of 11 at least gives you cause for a little bit of pause about the confidence that I probably felt walking out of US Bank Stadium on Saturday night.
Okay, I don't know how many special teams press conferences you've had the chance to take in, but like, do you have any feel for how confident the Vikings are or aren't in Greg Joseph?
I don't. I really don't.
It kind of feels like he's just,
and
no one's really talking about him. Everyone's
Yeah.
just kind of hoping and praying.
And we also sort of know how this whole song and dance goes with Mike. Like in Mike's world, if you're a field goal kicker, you are essentially in some ways like a quarterback to him, which is a necessary evil on the roster. And if you do your job, you're just sort of left alone. And if you don't, he freaks out. So, like, I guess my question is, after a day like that, I'm more curious how Mike Zimmer feels than the special teams coordinator, because that's where I sometimes feel the snowball starts to go down the hill of, oh boy, that wasn't good. What's
Has
gonna happen
anyone?
next?
Has anyone? I mean, there's so many things to ask Mike Zimmer. There's just so many roster things right now. But like, has anyone in preseason asked Mike Zimmer, how do you feel about Greg Joseph? Or has it mostly just been avoided in his press conferences?
Mostly avoided. I think he's been asked about him, but the other thing is he's never, like, unless Joseph, it would be interesting today to have had, and he is going to talk this morning, but I can't go. It would have been interesting today to ask him how he felt about his performance yesterday. Because, like, I feel like if you just ask, hey, Mike, how do you feel about Greg Joseph on a Thursday? He's going to be like, oh, yeah, he's come in and he's got a job to do and he's doing it. But 7 of 11, I'd be curious to know how he processed that one.
Well, the kick out, he missed a 51-yarder, if I'm not mistaken, in that second preseason game, right, against the Colts.
Yes.
Kind of drifted.
Correct.
Kind of faded. Started kind of down the middle and kind of faded to the right.
About that.
He's got a little bit of a slice, and I would recommend stopping into PXG Minneapolis to fix that slice. All right. They say that kickers are like golfers in shoulder pads. And so if Greg Joseph wants to straighten things out with his golf game, PXG has these new Gen 4 golf clubs, drivers, fairways, hybrids, irons. These are PXG's flagship clubs, hands down. You can check it out. Again, it's a golfer's paradise. Everyone's raving about PXG Minneapolis. Stop in Southdale Center or just peruse on their website, pxg.com/Minneapolis. All right, what's next on your camp notes list?
Okay, I'm going to go from what could be perceived as a negative to a positive, because this to me is probably, if there's like a storyline coming from camp of something that seems to be going well, it's this one. Yesterday in the ones versus the ones, I probably can't tell you accurately, just because it's hard to describe, how dominant Danielle Hunter continues to look. And like, my concerns about the neck are, now I'd like to see him play a real game first before I say it's absolutely fine. But I think it was charted as 3 potential sacks. Now, you of course can't hit the quarterback in scrimmages, but 3 potential sacks. He's at both ends. So if you're saying, well, but Judd, come on, Rashad Hill's playing left tackle, I could beat Rashad Hill. He's also going against Brian O'Neill, the right tackle at times. Yeah. And Brian O'Neill's a good tackle. Danielle Hunter right now and throughout camp, to me, has looked fantastic. He's a specimen. He doesn't look like he's lost a step. He looks comfortable playing. Like there doesn't seem to be problems. This one to me is a huge positive storyline coming from camp.
That really is about the best possible news you could, if there's all the different storylines and different position battles, like at the beginning of camp, if you're saying what's the number one most important thing, you'd say that after a month and a half of camp, Danielle Hunter's ready to rock. And if it looks like he's ready to rock, then everything kind of starts to fall in place defensively. I mean, they were one of the worst pass rushing teams in the league. Think about a Mike Zimmer defense. And Zimmer defenses aren't necessarily known for like gaudy sack and interception totals.
Pressures.
But they get pressure.
Yes.
And it's very systematic. And it all is predicated on getting that pressure. And with Danielle Hunter out last year, they weren't able to get pressure, and then the back end fell apart and everything just crumbled from there. So it really is the most important thing for this defense if they're going to do anything like they've done before last season. He's got to be healthy and playing basically every game. So that is pretty good news. Pretty good news. He's not going to play in this third preseason game, though.
No,
right?
I don't think
no
so.
reason to.
But I mean, he looks fantastic. The next one, much like a presidential race, I am going to call a position battle. The ballots are in. A position battle is over.
Are you wearing your Steve
county here, and
Kornacki
we're going to have 70% in here, and that's going to get all there.
What's happened right here is that we've had
here in Hennepin County, we have a big surcharge of this, and then in Ramsey County, it's over here. It's Mike Kornacki.
A position battle is over. Well fought. Actually, not really well fought, but sort of well fought. First team, right defensive end, DJ Wonnum. Second team, Stephen Weatherly. Everson Griffin did get into the scrimmage at times, purely third down pass rush guy.
Yeah, I like it.
DJ Wonnum is your week one, unless he gets hurt or unless something weird happens and they go acquire somebody, which I don't think they will do now that they've signed Ev. DJ Wonnum has won the starting right end position.
Interesting.
Weatherly, who I think, he entered camp with a good chance to compete for it, is with the twos. And here's how certain I am in calling this race. They had
what percentage of precincts are reporting here?
98%.
Oh, okay.
Wonnum was with the first teamers in a purple jersey. Weatherly was with the second teamers in a white jersey, so they couldn't mix and match them. That's it. DJ Wonnum, starting right end. Now let me give you a little bit more on him as well, because this to me is an indication of the fact that they've been impressed with him and like him. There was when Everson Griffin was on the field, so it was, I believe it was a late game 2-minute drill where it was going to be all passes. Griffin at right end, Danielle Hunter at left end, Dalvin Tomlinson, not surprising, at the 3 tech. Or actually, you know what? He'd be more nose tackle there because DJ Wonnum was the other guy inside.
Zimmer did that. He used to do that with Brian Robinson the last few years of Robinson's career. He would move Robinson inside, and that was when Hunter was a backup rotation guy, and they would put Hunter and Griffin on the edges and then move Brian Robinson to the inside. I like it. I think it's a good strategy. So Wonnum, for context, last year, he definitely played more snaps than they had planned because Danielle Hunter was out. And he had the second most total pressures of any edge rusher on the team. Odenigbo led the team with 42. Wonnum had 22 pressures. It wasn't a great pressure rate, and PFF didn't love him last year, but this was really the first real taste of NFL football that he was getting on a regular basis. And coaches seemed to love him, and he had a couple nice little games where he flashed and tallied sacks. So I don't think he's necessarily going to be like a Pro Bowl caliber player, but if he can just be what Ray Edwards was 10 years ago, just be a guy that take advantage of some opportunities while
help stop the
Hunter,
run, right?
yes, yep, and make sure that you're not missing tackles on the edge too. So I'm good with this.
All right.
Weatherly should be a backup.
Yes.
He should be a rotation guy.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. So truthfully, it's probably depth chart wise, it's probably Wonnum starts, Griffin pass rush specialist, situational guy, Weatherly a depth guy. But that's him. That's fine. Like he can contribute there. When you ask Stephen Weatherly to start, you're asking too much. It's that simple.
Yep. Give us one more.
All right.
Because we got stuff. We got to get to stuff tomorrow too. So give us one more. Juicy
All right.
camp
So Kirk
update.
Cousins threw an early touchdown. The only touchdown the first team scored, one's against the ones, I think was their first drive. 2-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson, who again was in the red non-contact jersey, but looked good. Cousins actually looked, I thought, pretty solid. The story of the day was probably quarterback-wise. Kellen Mond was awful. Kellen Mond, this is the worst practice or game I've seen him. He had a pass picked by Chaz Surratt that was tipped. He had Armin Watts strip him of the ball, in which he brought the ball down in his hand and didn't protect it. It was stripped and returned for a touchdown by Watts. He had another ball almost picked by Surratt, but he just missed it. And then I think on the fourth drive that he orchestrated, they ended up with a field goal attempt. But the point was, this was as shaky and as bad as I've seen Mond, and just continues to solidify that this guy needs to learn. I'm not panicked. I'm not saying that he's a bust. There are some people who are probably there. I'm not even close to it. But I mean, this is just the process that a third-round quarterback who you took a flyer on, took a chance on, is going to go through.
I feel like I didn't get that update from the Vikings Entertainment Network crew. I feel like they skipped over that part. Yesterday.
Actually, some of them said he had a great day.
I thought it was a little fishy when they spliced together some footage of Kellen Mond dropping back in practice. Ball goes in the air, and then they cut to it looked like a Culpepper to Moss touchdown reception on the back half of the tape. I wasn't sure.
Speaking of, before we go, I got to tell you probably one of the funniest, one of my top 3 funny stories in my entire time on the Vikings beat happened yesterday.
Oh, God.
Okay. So the Vikings were on what would qualify as either field 1 or 3, I think, but it was on the far side of TCO where during the course of training camp, fans who are now gone could watch from tents. And there's one tent that was like a fan tent. And then that's been taken down. There's a VIP tent too, like big, and I think it gets broken down, but it's going to take some work. So the assembled media is on the grass and walked on a hill to get there. I decided, I'm 51. I'm going to go up the stairs and go in the back way, basically, so I can walk on a road to get to the place to watch practice.
Yeah.
But because of that, I was coming in from a different spot than the rest of my brethren in the media.
Yeah.
So as I am approaching where I'm going to watch,
you've always been known to walk the road less traveled.
yeah, I'm Denny Green. Check for Judd on the high road.
Judd's on the high road. It's just up here.
So as I'm approaching my perch to watch practice from, an unnamed member of the VEN crew starts approaching me. Now, I've never really met this guy, but I've seen him a ton, and he's seen me a ton. And, Phil, it's just one of those sort of unspoken, like we're not friends or something, but I've seen you, you've seen me. And so he's like coming towards me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if he's going to say something to me, or he might just be going to a different perch. It's fine. Literally, and I've got my badge on too, Judd Zolgad, tier 2 access or something. And he comes at me and he says, are you guys tearing this tent down too today or not? And I was
you
like,
guys?
what? And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, are you taking this tent down? And I'm like, I have no idea. And I realized he thought like I was the foreman on the project of the teardown at TCO.
So he has thought the entire training camp that you're like on the maintenance crew of.
Yes, that's exactly right. He's like, are you tearing? Now, number one, it's hysterical on its face. But number two, have you ever looked at me and thought, yeah, you know what, Judd?
Oh, that guy knows his way around. If somebody were to have said in that moment, oh, sorry, but like we do need you to help take down this tent, would you have been able to help participate in the taking down of that VIP tent?
I can barely work a screwdriver.
So this guy's been walking by you like 2 weeks ago, whatever. Like every time he sees you, he doesn't think that's Judd Zolgad from Purple Daily, or that's Judd Zolgad, former lead Star Tribune Vikings beat writer and insider. He's thinking that guy is here to help take tents down.
Yes.
And put cones in places.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
He's the guy. But I mean, what makes it so great is I am the last person I would look at and be like, there's a hardy man's man. He'll be taking tents down. Anyway.
Amazing. Well, I would recommend if you run a business, don't hire Judd to be your maintenance man, but do hire and work with Federated to provide risk management resources and just trustworthy people that have been around for a long time. So this company's been around for over 100 years, based in Owatonna, helping business owners. They've got all the knowledge, all the expertise, and they can apply it to your business and help you sleep better at night as a business owner. Federatedinsurance.com, and remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. In fact, I think it's very risky if you let Judd attempt to
Do these
take
look
down
like
your
the
tent.
hands of a man who's ever done anything that requires like smarts when it comes to deconstructing or constructing?
Those are the hands of a man that tells his wife to use the chainsaw in the backyard.
I don't start the grill.
That's I'm not a handyman, but I definitely know my way around a grill and a propane tank. So,
oh my gosh,
famous last words. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us whenever you discovered us, whether it was at the beginning of training camp or whether it was the old Mackie and Judd radio show. It's been a blast, and we'll be back tomorrow with some more Marconi finalist content for you. That's right.